Hi, my name's Jemma, and what we're going to do today is we are going to make some scrimshaw using soap. So we're going to do some soap carving. Okay, so scrimshaw was what the sailors made when they were out on voyages, usually on whaling ships, and they would use objects such as whale teeth. We're going to use soap because it's easier to get hold of. All right, so what you will need for this one is some bars of soap, some scratchy tools. Now I'm using clay tools, but you can use cocktail sticks or a fork or anything that you've got to hand. You're going to need a little bit of black paint. I'm using acrylic paints, and you'll also need some pens and some paper. So we're going to start off. I want my soap to kind of look a bit like a tooth. So I'm going to take one of my tools here, and soap is really easy to carve. So what I'm going to do is to sort of mark out where I want the edge of my tooth to be, and then I am cutting away the sections, and I'm going to make it look a bit more like a tooth. So this might take you a while, and obviously it'll be a lot neater than mine. Try and make it the same on the back as on the front. Okay, so we start to smooth out the edges. So that it's beginning to start to look quite tooth-like. Okay, so we have our tooth. What we're going to do now is we're going to take it to our blank piece of paper. We're going to draw around the tooth so that we have a template in which we can put our design on. I'm going to do one stood up on end and one on the right. So we have a portrait and a landscape design. The reason I do this is to make sure that I get my design to the correct size before I start carving into the soap. So I have two here, which I designed earlier, and sailors would often use themes such as sea monsters or sea creatures, or what they saw on their voyage, or their boat, and other things. So I've chosen a mermaid, and I've also chosen a boat. I think we'll go with the boat. So, again, you want your scratchy tool, and you are going to draw very faintly the outline to make sure that you get the design within the right size. So I'm looking at my boat, and I'm planning it out. And it is quite faint and quite hard to see. When you've got the outline done, you can start to scratch in deeper. And add more detail. So I'm just adding some sails on there. Again, you probably won't be able to see this because it is very faint. Now when you've carved in your design, we're going to take this same scratchy stick, and this is the time-consuming bit. we put a little bit of paint on the end and we start to fill in those lines. And this brings out your design. If you try and keep the end quite clean and rub off any bits of soap, and then you'll be able to get really far into those lines and keep it quite neat. Okay. So that is my finished boat there, and that will need about 20 minutes to dry.